Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, the neck of his guitar cold against his palm. He pressed his fingers into the strings, trying to lock in a new chord shape. The note rang out, thin and hesitant. He looked down at his practice log, where lines of dates and progress notes stretched back for months. Then, the glow from his phone screen pulled his eyes away. A video played on loop. A teenager's fingers blurred across the fretboard, executing a complex solo with effortless speed. Thousands of comments scrolled by, in a blur of praise. Ethan looked back at his own hands. They felt heavy, clumsy, and slow. He checked his page again. The follower count had not moved. It sat there, a stagnant number that felt like a judgment. He reached for his pick to try the chord one more time, but his grip faltered. The plastic plectrum slipped, hitting the hardwood floor with a sharp, hollow crack. He did not reach down to pick it up. He stared at the screen, the music from the video still pulsing, while the silence in his room grew thick and suffocating. He slammed his laptop shut, the sudden noise cutting through the air, and stood up, his pulse drumming against his ribs as he paced the small space. The next morning, Ethan left the house before the sun had fully cleared the horizon. He walked toward the edge of town, his boots crunching rhythmically against the dry, loose gravel. Every step felt heavy, a physical manifestation of the frustration that had kept him awake. He reached the garden boundary, where the air shifted from the smell of dust to the scent of damp earth and greenery. The old man was there, kneeling on a wooden bench, his hands moving with steady, deliberate precision as he pruned a thick hedge. The rhythmic snip of the shears cut through the morning quiet. Ethan did not wait for a greeting. He threw his heavy bag onto the dirt, the thud jarring the stillness. He stood over the old man, his chest heaving, his hands balled into tight fists at his sides. "Why does everyone move ahead faster than me?" Ethan demanded, his voice cracking with a raw, jagged edge. "I study every day. I practice until my fingers ache. I work until midnight. Yet, I am always behind." The old man did not look up immediately. He finished the cut, before he finally set the shears down and looked directly at Ethan. The old man did not answer with words. He turned and walked toward the center of the garden, his gait steady and unhurried. Ethan followed, his boots dragging slightly on the soft, damp soil. The air here was different, thick with the scent of blooming flowers and wet earth. It felt like a barrier against the noise of the town outside. They stopped before a patch of tall, green stalks that swayed slightly in the breeze. The old man pointed a calloused finger at the ground. "Look at this bamboo," he said. His voice was calm, cutting through the tension. "For years it shows nothing above the dirt. It spends that time anchoring itself deep into the soil, building a foundation that no one sees. Then, in a single season, it shoots up toward the sky." Ethan knelt, his fingers brushing the base of a stalk. It felt solid, unyielding. The old man then gestured to a nearby rose bush, its petals vibrant and open. "This rose blooms in weeks. It is fast, visible, and bright. The bamboo takes years. Does the rose look down on the bamboo because it is slow? Does the bamboo envy the rose because it is hidden?" Ethan shook his head slowly, the movement small and deliberate. He could not imagine the bamboo wishing for the rose's fleeting beauty. The old man stepped closer, his shadow falling over the soil. His voice dropped, becoming firm and resonant. "If the bamboo tried to bloom like a rose, it would wither. If the rose tried to grow like bamboo, it would snap under its own weight. Your life is not a race against others. It is a journey designed only for you." The words hit Ethan with the weight of a physical blow. He stood up, the garden around him suddenly appearing in sharp, clear focus. The old man watched him, waiting. Ethan looked at the rosebush, then back to the sturdy, hidden stalks of the bamboo. He watched a bee land on a vibrant petal, linger for a heartbeat, and then fly toward the green stalks. He realized he had been looking at the world through a lens of lack, measuring his worth by the speed of others. The frustration began to drain away. He saw the slow, necessary work of his own roots. The garden was no longer a place of judgment, but a mirror of his own potential. He took a deep, steady breath. That evening, the room felt different. Ethan sat with his guitar, the wood cool against his touch. His phone lay face down on the desk, its screen dark, the digital noise of the world shut out. He did not check for updates. He did not look for trends. He placed his fingers on the fretboard. He strummed. The note was clean, vibrating through the air. He tried to transition to the next chord, his fingers stumbling slightly. Instead of frustration, he felt a quiet resolve. He adjusted his grip, corrected the angle, and played it again. The sound was clear, steady, and entirely his own. He opened his journal and wrote down the progress, measuring it only against the version of himself from the day before. The tightness in his chest simply vanished. He was no longer racing. He was simply becoming, rooted firmly in the reality of his own hands.